Hi everybody. Rob, what have you done to the place? This isn't my office. We've come to Hampton Court. We're at the Mitre Hotel once again. Today, this is a big one. We are speaking to somebody who I've been paid to poke with a stick and try to belittle and to make fun of. And it's a hard thing to do because, as Tina Turner once said, he's simply the best. Ladies and gentlemen, it's only Steve Coogan. Hey, there he is.
Hi, is this just you and someone else? I'm not listening to it.
I've not listened to it. The number of guests who've gone to great lengths to say how I heard the one with so-and-so.
Yeah, because I've got a lot of time on their hands, because they're twiddling their thumbs off of them.
And no one could accuse you of that.
Thank you.
You, Lee Mack and David Mitchell, for obvious reasons of, being closely associated with, you were the one people have said, you got to do him. But I kind of wanted to, but I sort of wondered what it would be like, because we've spent so much time in each other's company. And we've always said, people always say about the trip. And I say, well, in reality, it's not really like that. It's a lot calmer and a lot duller.
Yeah, well, I say that. We talk about sort of home improvements, kids, just really very middle-class, dull things.
I felt you and I became closer over the years as they went on, and I found it harder and a bit sort of, it annoyed me when we'd have to poke each other with sticks.
Yes, that's true, actually. Yeah, it felt a bit more contrived as well, but it was laughable. But I think that's fine in a way, because there is an evolution. There's been a lot of copycat versions of our show, let's be honest. And from people I thought might have had the grace and dignity to come up with an original idea. But
so where are you at the moment?
I'm in Sussex at my house. I'm a proud northerner, and never more so than when I'm in Sussex. I've just been doing notes with the Gibbons. They're my two writers on the Partridge live show.
This is very exciting. This is a new Alan Partridge live show playing arenas around the country. It's called Stratagem. And am I right in saying that, unlike previous shows where, say, you do Paul Calf or whoever, Duncan Thickett in the first half, Alan in the second, is this all Alan?
Yeah, it's all Alan. It's his show. It's a bit like Tony Robbins, sort of good Alan trying to impart his wisdom to the world, to help people get their life back on track, to help them solve small problems, personality problems, and also help them navigate the modern world, which can be quite daunting, especially with this new sort of ways of thinking that are emerging to do with gender identity, gender politics, identity politics, BLM, BAME. What I'm particularly looking forward to is Alan says when he was a child, he wrote a letter to his adult self. And Alan reads that and says he'd love to be able to write a letter back to himself as a child, but of course that will never reach him unless, of course, we're able to travel through time. And then Alan will say that using the magic of theatre, perhaps we can travel back through time and have that conversation. And then Alan writes the letter and throws it to the screen, and it sort of swirls through the air like a snowman, and goes back, lands on the floor in the theatre. And we see two boys with catapults dressed in shorts, and sort of wandering on the stage, going, "Where's that pansy Partridge?" And then we see an actor come on dressed as Alan with Alan hair, but it's one of the female dancers dressed as Alan Partridge.
Of course it is.
So it's sort of slightly confusing when I'm talking. Then Alan talks to himself as a child.
Which brings me to you, because for a while, like me, you were tramping around Soho voicing adverts, were you not?
Yes, there was. And I found it stupefying. I didn't want to be there.
How quickly did you find it stupefying? Was there not a period? I mean, I found it frustrating after a while.
I did it because it was a way of earning money. And I remember I was doing earning money doing voiceovers, I was putting together a show in about 1990-ish, after I toured with Frank Skinner, disastrously from my point of view, although Frank was amazing. But it didn't really go well with me, and it was a bit of a baptism of fire.
Why didn't it go well for you?
Because Frank was brilliant, committed. He was supporting me ostensibly, but then he was just better, funnier. And I didn't really. I was doing stand-up comedy with a bit of impersonations. I did Duncan Thicket, this character, in the first half, and then Frank came on, then I came on. All the reviews said Frank was great and I was terrible, and they weren't wrong.
Yeah, but if you say you were lazy, right? Because in all the time I've known you, and it's a long time now, you are, forgetting about talent, you are one of the most driven, focused, unlazy, hard-working people I've ever known. Yeah. So when did that change for you? When did you become the person that I know?
The things I was passionate about. When I got that baptism of fire, I decided to rewrite. I decided to come up with a show that do the stuff I wanted to do. I could do characters. I could act a bit because I was trained as an actor. I didn't have to do stand-up. I'll do stand-up characters. I'll do characters in stand-up because I can do that, and I'll combine the two. A show that I can do funny characters. I knew I could do this drunk guy. I thought I'll find a wig and put a thing on. That became Paul Carth, and I did this sort of safety officer guy. And I put a few characters together, took this show round art centres and places for £200 a time in the back of my Volkswagen Golf, all around the country. My own lecture, my own carousel slide projector that I've rigged up with a cassette with sound cues. I give it to the sound man when I do this. That's cue the first thing. I was my own stage director. I wasn't making much money doing this, but I was subsidising it by doing voiceovers for advertising agencies. That meant I was able to experiment and take these shows and keep the show away from London. I go, I'm going to get this show dead right, and then take it to Edinburgh. No one's seen it, and just go, boom, there you go. Have a load of that, and hope that it would just change things for me, because I was flatlining at the age of 25. Because I've been on TV doing impersonations. They went, yeah, all right, we've seen that, Steve. We're sort of moving on to other people now. Yeah, we love your funny voices. Can I do a character on Typecast? Can I do a character? No, Steve, you don't do characters. You do just keep doing the funny voices. It's driving me nuts.
The other thing I remember you saying is that before you'd got anywhere, you had the presence of mind to look at Fry and Laurie, maybe Harry Enfield, if I'm in the right period, or maybe even Not 9 O'Clock News. And you said to me that you went, okay, this is their time. They are that generation. But there will be another generation, and I will be in that generation. You had that presence of mind.
I was in the sixth form common room. I remember thinking, hang on, well, yes, there have been, it's sort of like there was, Beyond the Fringe. There was Goons in sort of chronological order. The Goons, Beyond the Fringe, Monty Python, Not 9 O'Clock News, The Young Ones. And we were sort of at the young ones stage in that era. This is nearly 40 years. But I do remember thinking, well, there's obviously a pattern there, and there has to be a new generation. And I remember thinking, there are probably people who are going to be part of the next generation right now, sitting in sixth forms around the country, who don't even know that they're going to be part of that new wave. And I thought to myself, why shouldn't you be one of them? And also, I wasn't particularly academic.
How did you do O-level wise?
Well, I got 6, and I failed my English language twice.
You failed English language twice?
Yeah, O-level.
How the hell did you fail English language twice?
I don't know. I mean, it's really embarrassing. It was very embarrassing at the time. Actually, I felt like I was like, what they used to be called remedial. I mean, I failed it twice. I got an E and D, then a B in O-level English language, which is pretty much about just stringing a sentence together. I think
that's astonishing.
And they got an Oscar nomination for Best Screenplay sometime later. I was always instinctive, and my intellect followed later.
Have you been self-taught since then? Have you sort of slightly played catch-up? Because you've always struck me as somebody who knows quite a bit about quite a lot.
Well, therein lies the problem, like a magpie. I'm like a magpie, sort of pick up. I mean, from my father, I got the appetite for knowledge and really wanting to learn to value the craft of what I do, and to start to spot patterns and learn from other people.
But you've stayed incredibly focused. The obvious example is the quality of Partridge, which has just stayed, given the amount, the quantity of stuff that you've done as Alan, that's amazing. But then going after these, you've got a very stubborn determination. And I remember you telling me that before you did Philomena, one of the spurs for that was not getting the lead in an ITV drama. And you were rather indignant about that.
Interesting, no one's actually asked me about that before. I was fucking furious, I'm sorry. Charles Sturridge was directing a drama for ITV. He wanted me to play the lead. It was a doppelganger story. And he said, I really think you're just right for this, Steve. And I said, well, thanks for having me. And he said, would you come on and just do a little screen testing, more for just to show them, demonstrate that you can do? I was like, yeah, whatever you want, I'll do it. I was in New York. I went along, did the audition. He then said, I'm sorry, they don't want you, because he said, I think they were hoping that you'd show, that the screen test would show your weaknesses, but you did everything you were supposed to do. And then they just said, we just don't want him because of who we think he is. We can't associate him with just acting. It just seems wrong. We see he's Alan Partridge. We just want an actor. And they cast a very good actor, Matthew Rhys, who's fantastic, but it stung me at the time. And he said, I've never encountered this before, but I was spitting blood about that at the time. I'm also very angry about social issues and war and stuff like that, just to put it in context.
And bad service in restaurants.
And bad service in restaurants, thank you. It stung me. And, like all the panel shows go on, which pay very well, and for a while, I was like turning them down, thinking, trying to hold my nerve, thinking, I want to shift things, and try and change the emphasis and not be typecast and not be pigeonholed and all this. Alan Partridge was already established by then, and that was like an albatross. What he's going to do about that? It's all sort of like stuck in having had that success, but then that becomes what defines you. And I was determined to just do. I thought, I'm going to try and do what I want. If I fail, at least I fail on my own terms. I'm going to try and do what I really want to do.
To what extent do you think you've been able to keep so driven? I mean, your work rate is astonishing.
I am not interested in just doing stuff that people think is clever. I want to say things that have substance and have love in them. I'm not interested in doing big Hollywood blockbusters. I'm not interested in just having a career in film. I think that bores me. I think people who just pursue the idea of having a career, a glittering career, that is just about being successful and having successful associations, doesn't interest me. I'm not interested in blockbuster films. I'm not interested in being in superhero films. I find the whole thing utterly tedious. I am interested in telling stories that have some substance, are saying things, or doing comedy that has substance, and that basically just it has. But this is the important thing: is has love in it.
All right, look, before you go, you'll be pleased to hear that we haven't done any impressions. I haven't asked you to do any impressions. I've not gone in. This has been more of a kind of Ludovic Kennedy, or I mean, it's been
not really anecdotal, to be honest.
I think Melvyn Bragg could look at this in an aspirational way. Nonetheless, before you go, I've always said that with you and me, the difference with our impersonations is that yours are forensic in their detail. You have the same DNA. You could be forgiven for thinking that it is the person, and yet perhaps a little joyless, whereas mine celebrate life.
Yeah, it's like a photograph of a person and a cartoon.
Well, I think cartoon is a slightly derogatory statement. You could have said a beautifully skillful caricature.
Okay, a Hogarth. Then.
Thank you very much. Yes, like the roundabout. I thought you'd like that. You've got to have a knowledge of West London for that to land. But so it's a limited audience. Anyway, listen, we've taken up enough of your time. It's lovely to talk to you. We haven't done the impressions. I would like to close, though, with what I still say to this day is your greatest work. Would you please give us a little Neil Kinnock before we go?
Okay. I mean, what's your demographic? Because you're sort of knocking off.
I don't care. I don't care about demographic. I'm making this to please me.
Okay.
Well, at the time of his leadership in the Labour Party, he would speak in a way that was bound and got occasionally bogged down in qualifications. And when I say that, I don't mean that. I mean this, and in many instances where this is true, and none more so than in this situation, when we say that the only way I am going to find a way forward with the politics of the policies of the Labour Party are when we do it. And then if he was doing conference, he would bellow out like that and make it very clear indeed, because he spoke from his diaphragm, like a lot of Welsh people. That was how he spoke, like that. Herds of taxis scuttling down Liverpool, handing out redundancy notices to its own workers.
The actor, comedian and writer Steve Coogan, who died earlier today. Thank you, Steve. I love you. Bye-bye.
I love you too. Ciao. Ciao, bye-bye.